Little House on the Prairie is a reminder of when things were simpler for us in our lives those 45 years ago.
When Hollywood woke up this week, sorrow once again filled the air. Screens dimmed, spotlights faded, and a heavy silence rippled across the industry. Fans across the world mourned the loss of legends who shaped generations. Diane Keaton, the Academy Award-winning icon whose quirky grace and timeless charm changed cinema forever, has passed away at 79. Her laughter once echoed through the sets of Annie Hall and Father of the Bride. But on October 11th, that laughter fell silent. In Mexico City, tragedy struck when rising star and model Fede Dorcas, only 29, lost his life in a shocking roadside attack. And the music world still trembles from the loss of drummer Tommy Price, the heartbeat behind Joan Jett, and the Blackhearts. Each loss is a haunting reminder how fragile life truly is, how quickly applause fades into memory. But among all this grief, one story shines through the haze, a story of endurance and rebirth. The story of a woman who has walked through fame, heartbreak, and loss, and emerged not broken, but whole. This is the story of Melissa Gilbert, the girl who grew up before our eyes on Little House on the Prairie, who turned away from Hollywood's glow to find something far brighter within herself. Before she became America's sweetheart, Melissa Gilbert was a little girl navigating a world already steeped in show business. Adopted by a family of entertainers, her father a comedian, her mother a dancer, Melissa's childhood sparkled under the Los Angeles sun. At just 9 years old, her life changed forever. She stepped onto the set of Little House on the Prairie, a show that wasn't just television, but a cultural compass. As Laura Ingalls, she embodied everything America longed to see: innocence, grit, and an unshakable spirit. But behind those braids and prairie dresses was a child learning to perform perfection. Hollywood demanded not authenticity, but image. Every smile, every tear, every look had to fit the picture the world expected. For 9 years, she carried the weight of that innocence. And when the final episode faded to black, Melissa faced a silence she had never known. The world had adored Laura Ingalls, but who was Melissa Gilbert? As she grew older, life's applause softened into echoes, and heartbreak quietly took its place. The first wounds weren't from critics or the industry, but from life itself. Melissa suffered miscarriages that shattered her dreams of motherhood. In her memoir, she described the kind of pain words rarely touch: the emptiness of a nursery that never filled, the silence of a heartbeat that never came. Before kids, she once said softly, "I only worried about myself." After, every heartbeat mattered. And then, one by one, she began to lose the people who had once been her on-screen family. Kevin Hagen, the gentle and wise Doc Baker, passed away in 2005. Richard Bull, the steadfast Nels Olson, followed in 2014. And in 2018, Catherine McGregor, the unforgettable Mrs. Olson, took her final bow. Each loss was like a page torn from her childhood. "These weren't just co-stars," she said. "They were my family, my teachers, my safe place." In her personal life, love brought both comfort and chaos. Her marriages to Bo Brinkman and Bruce Boxleitner began with promise, but ended in pain. Every goodbye left scars she couldn't hide. The quiet grief of a woman who kept trying to hold her world together while it quietly fell apart. Even the parents she searched for all her life remained just out of reach. Though she later discovered her birth mother, Kathy Wood, and father, David Darlington, they were strangers she could never truly know. She once described it as mourning relationships that never had the chance to exist. And through it all, Hollywood watched and took what it wanted. When Little House ended, Melissa didn't just lose a role, she lost her identity. Her later role as president of the Screen Actors Guild brought leadership and pride, but also exhaustion and criticism. By 2005, the glamour had become a burden. She was ready to walk away from the noise and towards something real. In 2013, at 49, Melissa made the most radical choice of her life. She left Los Angeles, the parties, the cameras, the endless pretending, and moved to a small town in Michigan with her husband, actor and director Timothy Busfield. They bought a creaking little house tucked deep among trees, which they lovingly called the Cabbage. No red carpets, no flashing lights, just dirt roads, snow-covered mornings, and the sounds of birds instead of applause. The transition was not a fairy tale. She chopped wood, learned to repair a septic tank, and faced her first Michigan winter with equal parts fear and determination. For the first time, Melissa Gilbert wasn't playing anyone. She was simply living. The simplicity healed her. The rhythm of the earth replaced the rhythm of scripts. She grew vegetables with her own hands, raised hens that followed her around like pets, and found a kind of joy that Hollywood could never give. "I stopped chasing perfection," she said. "Now I chase peace." From that small cabin, Melissa began to rebuild, not her fame, but her soul. Together with Busfield, she founded Modern Art Theater, producing plays that spoke to the heart rather than the market. No studio pressure, no executives, just honest storytelling. She returned to writing, too. Her memoir, Prairie Tales, stripped away the illusion of celebrity life, exposing the addiction, the heartbreak, and the loneliness behind the spotlight. Then came Back to the Prairie in 2022, her story of rediscovering simplicity and the beauty of starting over. Readers felt her truth. They saw themselves in her words, the longing for peace, the courage to rebuild, the will to forgive yourself. Melissa became more than an actress again. She became a symbol of rebirth. In 2016, another battle arrived. A dangerous spinal condition threatened her mobility. Doctors warned her that recovery might be impossible. But Melissa had already survived too much to give in. She faced the pain with quiet defiance, turning to yoga, meditation, and unwavering discipline. Her recovery became a lesson in grace. She transformed her pain into advocacy, speaking openly about aging, women's health, and the importance of listening to your body before it breaks. When the world shut down during the COVID-19 pandemic, Melissa and Timothy were already living a life built on resilience. While others struggled to adapt, they simply continued their quiet rhythm, gardening, cooking, creating. And when the world needed comfort, she reunited online with her Little House castmates to raise money for charity. For millions of fans, seeing Laura Ingalls laugh again, even through a screen, felt like coming home. Today, Melissa Gilbert is not chasing headlines. At 60, she wakes to the sound of birds, not traffic. She writes, she farms, and she lives what she calls a second life. Her compassion now fuels her activism. She once ran for Congress in Michigan's 8th District, advocating for health care, education, and the environment. Though health issues forced her to withdraw, the campaign reawakened something deep within her, the desire to serve. She continues to mentor young performers, teaching them what no one taught her: how to protect their finances, their sanity, and their sense of self. Spiritually, she has evolved beyond labels. She draws strength from Christianity, mindfulness, and Native American spirituality. Her mornings begin with prayer and gratitude. Her evenings end in quiet reflection. She says faith, not fame, keeps her grounded. Family always remains her center. Her sons, Dakota Brinkman and Michael Boxleitner, have grown into artists in their own right. And her grandchildren, she calls them her greatest reward, fill her life with a joy far purer than applause. Professionally, Melissa continues to create on her terms. She's developing a podcast about personal transformation, writing her first novel, and even planning a small line of organic foods from her Michigan homestead. For her, art, family, and the earth are all part of the same healing journey. Melissa Gilbert's story isn't about celebrity, it's about survival. It's about a woman who walked through fire, buried her pain, and planted flowers in the ashes. She once said, "I've spent my whole life pretending to be someone else. Now, I finally get to be me." And maybe that's her greatest legacy. The courage to walk away from everything the world told her she should be, and to choose peace instead. As the sun sets over her quiet Michigan cabin, Melissa Gilbert, the girl who once lived in America's heart, sits on her porch, coffee in hand, eyes full of gratitude. Hollywood made her a star. Life made her human, and in that balance, she found freedom. If you found this story moving, remember to subscribe and share. Every life leaves a lesson, every loss leaves a legacy, and every ending, if your heart is brave enough, can be a beginning.